to a thing.
Silly Travis videos are for people we like.
Where am I? I mean, technically we should be live now. What up, everybody? We are live. Episode number 9, the Pangburn Show. Welcome. Today we're going to be getting into more interesting topics. Special announcement. I mean, you guys should be able to hear me now. Special announcement. YouTuber Destiny will be joining me on Friday next week on the 18th. 5 p.m. Pacific time, Destiny will be coming on the Pangburn podcast. He will be podcast attendee number 61. Who's going to be 69? I'm sure that's on all of our minds. Especially Andy's.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. What am I looking for here? I'm looking for my Facebook window because we are going to go live there. Just setting up the live stream here, guys. Say hello when you get in. Andy, do you mind doing the Discord blast and add everyone and give them the YouTube link?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that can be, because I always have to get Facebook running. So
see if I can. Should I do that in live text?
No, do it in the announcements tab. Live text, Jesus Christ.
Right.
Who is this guy?
Sorry. I'm not sure how do I. Oh wait, yeah.
So you at everyone, and then you
say
something fun to invite them to our show, so it makes them want to come and hang out. Tell them, make them drop their favorite joke in the chat or something. Something less lame than that.
Okay. We got the link at everyone. Come by, watch.
Let's see what Andy comes up with.
Come on, don't say it like that.
I trust you, Andy.
Okay, well, I don't know if I've earned that, but...
Oh yeah, he trusts me. Oh yeah. Yeah, Mace, bring in your new joke. Let's do it. All right, I'm getting the shares out there. We're just building a room right now. Say hello when you get in.
Okay. I made a new joke. I'll bring it in later.
I made a new joke. I bet you it's going to be the most dry joke.
It's probably going to be super racist.
It'll be a dry vintage.
It's going to be incredibly
racist. It will probably be sexist.
It's going to be incredibly racist against Indians. Or as he calls them, Asian.
Do you mean Asian?
We just call them Asians, but when Americans say Asian, they only mean East Asian, and that doesn't make any sense. Why are you limiting it to East Asian? You're saying Asian. Cultural differences.
Why was I born with this voice?
My first words was
when my mother
sounded exactly like this.
When my mother, who is a computer,
my computer mother, Karen.
Not Karen.
Do you even get that reference? Do you even watch SpongeBob, Travis?
No, I don't. Okay.
Nerd.
What up, dudes?
Everybody in the chat, make fun of Travis for not growing up with SpongeBob.
Everyone in the chat, leave me alone.
Don't bully me.
Andy's bullying me, okay?
Yes, I was born with this voice. It shocked everyone.
Yes, I was born with this voice. It was shit. He
Let's
comes
see if
out
I
of the
can-
womb. He comes out of the womb. How would Mace cry when he comes out of the womb? It'd be like,
Wow.
wow, wow, wow.
When am I gonna get to the show?
There is no show. This is all improvisation. There's nothing planned.
Yeah,
I'm still trying to get the stream going on Facebook.
This is the Travis and Andy bullshit hour.
It is. I mean, that's
Where we bullshit for an hour.
100%, my dude. He trusts me.
See if I can do an impression of Lexicon. I had no idea Asian was the topic before I said hello. I'm sorry.
I had no idea that Asian was the topic before he said hello. But seriously, Travis, like that was dope.
That sounds way more like him than mine.
Fight me.
Seriously, Travis?
Seriously, Travis? I have to disagree with you on that.
Oh my god, it's uncanny.
Dude, I'm telling you. I will challenge anyone to an impersonation contest. Including you, Andy. Although, Andy, I think my favorite one you do literally is Underjoyed. I don't know why. It's
mean-spirited.
What up, Iron Charioteer? No, it's not mean-spirited because you nail it. Like it's not like the guy makes terrible points or anything. It's just
yeah, but he is always talking about why something is ridiculous.
Yeah. He's always just like how can you not see like we go through all of these
ridiculous. That's not how that works.
Don.
I didn't. See. It bled into Don. Yeah,
it did.
They were corresponding that night.
You guys.
Donald Trump was talking to Fox News the day of the incursion.
What up, John Boy, Charioteer, Lexicon, everyone?
I didn't crawl in the latest.
Those of you who didn't hear, YouTuber Destiny and Twitch streamer Destiny is going to be coming on the Pangburn podcast. He will be Pangburn podcast number 61.
And he'll get his Pangburn pussy popped.
We're going to pop that cherry. No, but we're going to talk about gaming. I'm going to ask him what his favorite game is, why he's wrong about that, because I'm sure we disagree about that. We're going to talk about, we're going to kind of do rapid fire philosophy, I think. I'm going to ask him his positions on, oh, come on, Mace. Mace says Destiny sounds like a teenage girl. Well, let's see you say that to his face during the Q&A session that will follow the Q&A that we have.
Maybe
Andy's looking
like
cool in his red shirt. Oh,
man.
I see what Andy's doing here. I see Andy's angle. He's wearing a red shirt because he wants everyone to know that he is the guy in the red shirt above our heads. And I am the sidekick in the green shirt. Is this what you're trying to do to me, Andy?
Yeah, because every other feature is like
okay,
identical.
Dude, I still haven't got the stream going on Facebook. What the fuck's wrong with me?
I got red because it's one of my lucky colors. It's the same reason why I got this red Sharpie in my pocket at all times.
Oh yeah? Why is red your favorite color?
No, blue or green are probably my favorite colors. Red is just one of my lucky colors because I was born in the year of the snake.
Why? Why blue? Because society told you it had to be?
I think blue might be one of my brother's lucky colors because he was born in the year of the tiger.
Oh, yeah?
Which is ironic because I think his favorite color is red.
Nice. Okay, we're about to go live on Facebook or... Wait. Oh, there we go. Yeah.
Destiny sounds like the personification. Oh, the high-pitched squeak of a prairie dog.
That was pretty good. Lexicon does have a. He's got a bit of a, higher tone to his voice.
Yeah.
Join us.
It's like high and like a little bit like sassy almost.
Travis, I have to disagree with you on that one.
You're scaring me. Okay, so don't.
What does Lexicon think? Like, come on, man, give me some feedback.
Yeah, Lexicon. Are you hearing the similarities with how Travis does your voice?
Yeah, look at
'Cause
this Iron Chariot or who said that? Tim West has it so right. You got a red shirt commie sitting beside me. You fucking communist. What's with
I
everyone
don't know.
calling everyone a communist?
I don't know if I'm a communist, but like if I answer these questions honestly on political tests, I come off a bit socialist.
Do you?
Yeah, but not the highest. I took the who do I side with thing, and
Yeah.
the highest similarities I got was like 89% in common with the American Solidarity Party.
Yeah.
Um, and they're like a Christian Democrat group. So like I guess that would be the rest of the percentage where I don't agree with them, but I don't know, those tests are kind of iffy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, those tests must be taken with a grain of salt. Anyone who thinks that they should go and take these tests and then apply it to their everyday life are basically, doing astrology. Like, you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Probably better than
And I do
astrology.
astrology, like I said, but it's partly just for fun, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
High solidarity with all the Pangburnies.
What up, Paul? You know that Paul is Kapow, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool.
I actually think he told me what his real name was before anyone.
Iron Charioter, thanks for pointing this out. 340. Oh, it looks like 291. I don't know where you got 349 from. Oh, but maybe it's just constantly changing. 8 Yeah, let's spam that like button, my dudes. Take a second. It takes literally a second to come on here and spam the like button. I know some of you just like are working out or you're busy with work and you can't really open it up and you're listening in your ear. But you know what? Risk getting fired to hit that like button. It'll change your life.
It's worth it to watch this show. Risk getting fired. And look, if you get fired and you need new work, just hang out and go on Discord, and eventually somebody will hire you to just talk shit on YouTube.
Exactly.
If I can do it, you can. Like
that's the American dream right there.
Andy, we've been over this. Your brand is the glasses. Okay.
Yeah, no kidding, Andy. Like the people want the glasses. There we go. I'm gonna. You know what?
I am the Eggman.
I want to be cool too. Where are my glasses?
Andy's memory is savantistic.
I just have my.
So you're saying I just have my
dork glasses. So what are we talking about today? Let's let me see what I have for notes. Another thing as well. Going to be having Sabine, or as she pronounces it, Sabina Hossenfelder on, who is a huge part of the Celebration of Science and Reason tour that we are first starting up in Canada. We're still quite a ways away before the first dates. April 12th will be the first date in Montreal, April 13th in Calgary, and April 14th in Vancouver. We are looking at Ottawa and Toronto dates right now. There are some really exciting names being thrown around, which, people are going to be pumped about if we can make it happen. It's really important that you guys come out and support the event. We set up a GoFundMe that I've only shared to the Discord server so far, but if anyone does want to contribute to the event, Paul, yeah, you're asking about super chats. Something my lawyer is working on right now is trying to get this channel remonetized. We're going to try doing this stream over on the Pangburn Offensive channel, which is actually monetized right now. But I want to give you guys the I'm going to give you guys the link to that right now. Please just take a second to go over there and subscribe, because sometimes this show is only going to be available, or we're only going to be live on the Pangburn Offensive channel. If you guys, if you do want to make a PayPal donation, I will give you guys the link right now. Any kind of donations that's made is just goes towards helping keeping these shows running, and specifically right now the tour that the tour is very expensive to produce, and every little bit helps. But what I was saying is there's a GoFundMe if you want to help put some money towards the video production element of the tour to guarantee that all of these live discussions get filmed. Please head to our Discord. Actually, I'll drop. You know what? I'll drop you guys a GoFundMe link, the actual GoFundMe link here, so you have it in the chat. I'm going to Okay, there we go. How's your stomach, Andy? Andy's having stomach problems, so if he goes, oh, and then his camera goes dead, that means he shit his pants.
I would say that wouldn't happen, but that would kind of be a lie to completely write that off as a possibility. I ate nothing but chocolate today, so that's not a good thing. Kids, don't do that. But no, it's actually feeling a little bit better.
Oh, okay, good.
It flared up a little bit, and then it kind of went away.
In all honesty, I want you feeling good. I want you feeling healthy. There's the GoFundMe link if you guys want to contribute. What I was trying to explain, which I didn't fully explain, is that we don't have access to super chats on this channel right now because YouTube took away the monetization for this channel, which really sucks, and it's really hurt Pangburn a lot. But this show is going to start happening, I think after, I want to do a few episodes to help promote the new show, but it's going to start happening on a regular basis over on the Pangburn Offensive channel, which I'm giving you guys a link to right now.
To talk to Destiny. I like his takes, and his quick thinking is impressive. Shapiro-esque. He's got a ton of clout. Chase that mofo.
I just dropped you guys the Pangburn Offensive link. Please head over. Thank you, Iron Charioteer, for posting the Discord link. Admins, if you guys could always post links just to make sure we're inviting people and whatnot, that's great. There's the secondary YouTube channel, which actually has achieved monetization, so that's great. Join us over there and consider turning on one of our group discussion episodes. Last night, Zemo led an incredible discussion. Honestly, I was blown away by how much work and preparation Zemo put into that episode. It was about the media. He called the episode a media reliability crisis. And we had great engagement in that discussion. So do check that out. You'll see all of the discussions that we have, the group discussions, a long catalog of them on the Pangburn Offensive channel. And if you haven't tried engaging in those discussions with us yet, please do. You got to join us on Discord. Iron Charioteer just dropped you the Discord link, and you can find the Discord link in all of our video descriptions.
I think Zemo's show went really well.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, I was listening, it felt like I was listening to like a well thought out radio program, right? That's what I liked about it.
Which is incredible because Zemo spends most of his time rapping about his daughter and
Does he? Oh yeah. The real Slim Shady. That was funny when someone pointed that out last time when we were live. Create a, what do I want to do here? I was going to share the PayPal link. No, but someone shared that And then he was like, "Oh yeah, classic insult. Come up with a new one." Like, I think it really struck a chord with him.
It's not an insult. You look like him.
He is Slim Shady. It's not even that he just looks like him. He is Slim Shady.
Yeah. Maybe he is the real. Maybe that's what that song is about. That he's not even the real Slim Shady. Zemo is. That's the hidden message of that song. Oh, I just realized I got to put a sign up to make sure that nobody disturbs. Got to put my on the air sign on the outside of my door. So maybe they'll be.
So there you guys go. There's the PayPal information if you want to make a PayPal donation to the tour and what's going on. Every little bit helps. But yeah, there we go. At least we're up and running now. I have a lot of energy. Thank you so much. We have wait, let me check this out. Something weird here. Oh, okay, there we go. Perfect. So yeah, what's on your guys' mind? If you have any questions during this show, please do drop them in the chat. Let's spam that like button, guys. Let's affect this algorithm. I'm going to I almost closed the Facebook Live. Anyone who's viewing on Facebook, come and join us on YouTube. That's where the show happens, my dudes.
And my family's crazy.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Apparently there's a bad smell in the house, and they think it's cat shit or something. I don't know.
When really it's just you because you're destroying your stomach with terrible food?
Yeah. No. There was kind of a smell, though.
Maybe.
So I think it is the cat or something.
Yeah, I'll
the
have
cats.
to go. I'm going to be checking my email and stuff and doing some work while we're going because there's just so much going on, you guys, right now for the tour. We're doing everything we can to advertise this thing. And of course, when you're a small promotion company, everything is about pinching the pennies. And you do everything you possibly can to make shows happen. And sometimes they can't happen, but you do everything you can to make them happen. So things are looking pretty good right now, considering we are 2 months out and, it's COVID, tickets are selling. So that's a good sign. But yeah, go to pang-burn.com/tickets. And even if you can't make it to the events, even if you go and share the events on social media and say something about them, positive, that really, helps everything. So please do that. But yeah, celebration of science and reason, bitches. It's coming. Anyways, episode 9. Andy, what does episode 9 mean to you when you hear, we've been at this for so long now?
Episode 9. Well, 9 is a funny word because in German it means no, but it's spelled differently when it's like that. And it reminds me of that scene in that movie where Hitler was screaming. He was like, 9, 9, 9. And I find myself saying that sometimes when
you smash
I hear
mirrors
about certain types of immigration that I don't like. But anyway.
Oh my God, Andy. I'm going to kill you. Everyone write this down. I'm going to kill him.
The only kind of people I don't want immigrating are French people. Okay, just stay.
Iron Charioteer says, Pangburn, Canadian government is rolling back COVID restrictions. What do you think about that? I think that's great. Boris Johnson was more on the right track with this. Once the technology has a chance to catch up, the best we can do is attempt to slow down something that that spreads very easily, and you do your lockdowns, you do your mandates, you do what you can. There shouldn't be a dream out there that COVID-19 is just going to disappear and we're going to be like, okay, that means it's the end. No. Once you allow the technology to get caught up and everyone has an opportunity, I'm talking about vaccine technology, and everyone has an opportunity to either get the shot or not, and then adjust how they're going to continue with life, knowing that there's an additional risk out there, then guess what? It's time to remove the mandates. It's time to get cooking, man. So yeah, I think it's a good thing, Iron Charioteer. Now, the only argument, let's say there was something, let's say there was something going on where in vaccine technology, we had good reason to believe that we were going to have like vaccines that were 99.9% effective, and we're going to be rolling those out in about 6 months. Then you can justify waiting for another 6 months. But that technology is not being developed right now, as far as I know. So we kind of have what we have, and we're going to chase variants, and people will, just like influenza, be able to keep up with their boosters and the shots and if they wish or not, right? But everyone has enough information now to make a decision about how they want to live their life now that there is this, additional risk. You can either get vaccinated or the technology is caught up. We're ready to chase after new variants. Open it up. Get down. Iron Chair just says nothing to do with the truckers. It's the vaccine, Pangburn. What do you think? Yeah. And I agree with some of the politicians who've been talking about this. It's like, this is, you can't to say, a lot of people are going to start saying when they see mandate rollbacks, it doesn't matter if it happens now or 6 months from now, they're going to believe that they had an impact. Maybe they did. Maybe the truckers did make an impact. They at least, raised some awareness to what their concerns were, and it got global attention. So, if you have, not too much law breaking happening, assaults, all this stuff, and everything was quite peaceful, it seems. Then I think you had a successful rally or protest, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, there is no way to know for sure, John. You're right that the trucker convoy had anything to do with the mandate, the mandates being diminished. But yeah,
Paul also has
go ahead.
something interesting, a little bit unrelated. Men's health topic. Should government be involved in suicide prevention / harm reduction and choice?
Should government be involved? Well, if medicine is provided by the government, do you think that's enough to say that they should have some involvement in some way, even if it's indirectly? Because the government is supposed to be the representation of the people. So government is the people, right? In a general sense.
Man, look at how crooked my glasses look from this angle.
You weren't listening, were you? Dow, how's it going, brother?
No, I heard you. I just thought
I heard you,
pretty
man.
good.
I wasn't even. Come on, Travis. I mean,
I don't know. I want whatever that needs to be done, but I'm not sure how much the government could be involved, because it seems like a very a tender, delicate issue. But when I hear the word government, that's not really what I picture. Sorry, you go, Dal. Welcome aboard.
Yeah. By the way, Dal, we don't understand the language you are speaking unless you turn on your camera. That's just.
I'm driving right now.
Oh fuck.
Your phone is hands-free though, right?
Pay attention to the road. Keith Connolly said. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say my phone's hands-free if I'm not trying to turn on my camera right now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Do not let me forget.
Everyone watching, never be distracted by your phone when you're driving. It's very dangerous.
Or you do well.
What?
I'm not going to say it. I was going to make a joke. Probably get my feet put in hot water by YouTube.
You were about to say, and if you're Asian, don't drive at all, because it's
Jesus Christ, Andy. For an atheist, I do say Jesus Christ a lot, by the way.
Everyone does. It's because you secretly believe in it.
Oh, the Family Guy bit. Have you seen the Family Guy bit? Black Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like Black Jesus, and then Jesus, who's like this like big tall black man standing there. He's like, I just rolled into town on an ass, your mama's ass. Black
yeah, he
Jesus.
turns to the camera. You love that show, man.
Fuck, I love Family Guy.
Dude, there was a show called Black Jesus for a while.
There was, yeah.
Was there really? I didn't
Yeah,
know.
it was live. I just read about that. I can't remember what led me there, but like you ever go on Wikipedia and like you're reading one article and then it takes you to another through a link, and then that leads you to another, and you just kind of go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That led me to Black Jesus, but I remember that show. It was on Adult Swim, and it was about Jesus who's black.
I like Keith. I like Keith. I like Keith Connolly's idea. I want an Omicron party. I picture a large punch bowl in the center of the room. An attractive woman with Omicron serves you a cup and spits in it.
Yeah, I could think of an even kinkier way to transmit Omicron via liquids.
Yeah. What So yeah, Paul's asking, just to be a little more specific about what he was getting at. Like, someone wants to end their life but wants to do it in a humane way. Yeah, I'm all for this. As long as we can determine they are of sound mind, then we can do that. And we have standards for checking that, like legal standards and, more of from like a doctoral standard as well. So I think as long as we can do that, then someone should be allowed to, end their own life in a quote unquote humane way. I
really, really, really don't like it. But I guess in specific situations, I guess it shouldn't be illegal.
Well, there's some great stories about people who are told, like, we've detected a malignant tumor in the center, or like right at your brainstem or something like that, and it's going to kill you in the most vicious way you could ever imagine. You're going to lose function of your brain in about 2 months. And then they say, like, okay, I'm going to make it like a month and a half from now. That's going to be my death date that I pick. I'm going to die listening to my favorite song. These are the people I want to have in the room with me. This is the last, like, movie I want to watch, like all that stuff.
Yeah, but that's still so depressing.
Yeah, but isn't it more depressing that you have this malignancy that's going to overcome all of your ability to do anything with your mind?
In a way, it's almost like they're killing themselves in self-defense.
Well, I mean, some people might roll through. Sorry, go ahead now.
I was just going to bring up how much of a travesty it is to not allow certain people to commit suicide. Like, imagine you're in that situation with the brain tumor, but you also have no family and and no friends, really. Maybe you're miserable. And so you just want it all to end. But then the government mandated illegal suicide thing, like, they will keep you alive in the hospital as long as they can, to your own dismay.
Yeah. I don't think I agree with that.
Well, tell them why.
Like what Iron Charioteer says, if someone is in unimaginable pain that cannot be relieved, then yes. So I would agree with that.
Yeah, but that gets
generally.
But that gets so subjective, Andy. Like,
in most situations, I would say suicide is not only not good, but not the lesser of two evils either.
But isn't that like what are you basing that on? Like, at what point? Now I say I would never call it good, like, because a lot of people come to me with like scenarios trying to defeat my well-beingism, and they try to say like, oh, so you support that? Then that's a contradiction to your moral foundation. It's like, no, because I'm not claiming that outcome is good. Sometimes you can only have bad and different levels of bad outcomes in situations. So yeah, I wouldn't claim that any of that is good. Like, I wouldn't say I would say it's good to have the freedom of choice when it comes to your bodily autonomy. And then from that, you can get this situation where someone could do something bad in the name of that good freedom. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys think in the chat? Let's get some opinions here. Are you pro or against people being able to do this? And do you agree with my determination that, we would need to determine that they were of sound mind to a legal standard? Because death is death and sorting out death is a legal process for the people who are left behind, right? It's often, there's legal implications, like, what is to be done with the body and, things like this. So should they be allowed to do this? And do you think that it should be up to one's family doctor or psychologist, legal official to determine that they are of sound mind? Or do you think we should just trust them if they say they are of sound mind? I think that's a really good topic, Paul. And I think more people disagree on that than people think.
Yeah, I definitely think there has to be something to make sure, because obviously a teenager shouldn't be able to ask for euthanasia, and or someone who just went through a crisis, who they might, they should get over it and with some time and therapy or something.
Right.
Yeah. When there's hope for this physical existence to improve, then I would strongly advise against it. But when there's not that opportunity in this side of reality, in these rare cases where it's just constant physical suffering and there's no end in sight, then yeah, I wouldn't tell someone, no, you can't be euthanized.
What constitutes constant physical suffering? Like, I can imagine a old person who everyone they care about has died, and they have arthritis, and so they're suffering. They don't want to live anymore.
Right, and and that's the thing. If we can determine they are of sound mind, and even against their family's wishes, right? Like maybe their family's like, no, we don't believe that they want to die. They must be not of sound mind. At what point do you take away someone's own bodily autonomy, right? When they are not of sound mind. That's when we typically do it in society anyway.
I really do dislike this.
Dislike what?
The whole conversation about what if they're old and they're suffering. That's sad,
Yeah, no, it is death is any way you slice death, like outside of like adopting some kind of like unsubstantiated belief in what happens after you die, any way you slice death is going to be something that most people don't ever want to happen. Or, it's like, and then you have some people that say, well, I wouldn't want to live forever. But if death is there knocking at your door and it's like got the knife to your throat, your instincts are going to be to want to resist, right? It's like when people are dying, it's like we have instincts that fight against, that try to keep ourselves alive.
Death sucks.
Yeah. I mean, but I think it's important to make peace with death, right? I think I've made peace with death. I don't have a fear of death.
But I think it'd be cool if we conquered it to the best of our ability.
I've been reading some stuff recently that Amazon Baldy, what's his name again? Jeff or
that's close enough.
Bezos. Bezos. He's been talking about, like, he's putting a lot of money into like life expectancy research and lengthening life. I think he wants to escape death, right?
I don't blame him.
I mean, it seems like yeah, sure. Like if you're one of the richest men on the planet, I'm sure Elon Musk is going to get on that train. He probably, doesn't want to die. And there are some real options that technology in theory
it's
do
not
have.
impossible. It's
Right?
not impossible.
Yeah. What are some ways that we know of right now? I mean, the most appealing thing to me is that if we can have a successful way to transfer me as I am right now to software form.
Crystal.
Unfortunately, though, it's going to be a copy, right? And I don't get to me the biological me won't get to go into software form, right? So maybe maybe living in dream states in cryo chambers is really the best we can do, right? You know, we feel as though we are awake. We can stay, sleeping and being preserved for ever, let's say, and we find a way to a technology that allows us to control our dreams as though we are gods, right?
Yeah, but I'd want to interact with other people. I wouldn't just want to be in an illusion where it was just me and it seemed like there were other people.
Yeah, but like in the movie. Sorry, go ahead, Dal.
I was making a stupid point. I was just saying, if you meditate hard enough, you can get there. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, and then there's the Vanilla Sky effect, where Andy, in that film, if you haven't seen it, it's kind of,
if you become aware, exists, I haven't seen it.
If you become aware that if you start realizing there's something weird going on, or you're losing control of your dream, they have this technical support person that comes in to like try to ease your, ease any pain, psychological pain you might be going through, and just say, you're in control of all this. But yeah, you would want to, or at least some people would want to make it so that they didn't know that they were dreaming, right? Kind of like being plugged into the Matrix.
I think we should be able to, interface with each other.
Right.
And maybe even voluntarily leave this if we would want to.
Yeah. Well, that would mean understanding that you are in a simulation, right?
Yeah, we should be allowed to understand that. I don't think it should be withheld from us if we're in a simulation.
But, yeah. Yeah, and I guess you shape the simulation. If you say I want a simulation built based on everything that has happened or let's say as the Earth is right now, and I want my simulation to be from right now to 200 years from now, and then I'll decide after 200 years if I want to change up eras,
I mean, there's still, like, if I was, if I had to be in a simulation, then there'd probably be a lot of stuff that would be different than the regular world.
Yeah, sure. You could do that. What would be different? No disease?
Well, yeah, no disease for me, obviously, but would there be other people, or is it just my simulation and it just seems like there's other people?
Yeah. Or are you like plugging into a hub, hanging out with
other
minds?
In either case, whether we're all in a shared simulation or if it's obviously there'd be no disease.
Right.
No perception of anything that would cause physical pain, or I guess nothing that would even result in physical pain in the first place. But, stuff like that, just to make life more livable.
Yeah, I feel like if it was just me in there, I would care a whole lot less about suffering and because anyone who's suffering or in pain is me. So why should I really worry about it if my simulation sucks?
Well, because you don't want to see that.
Well, I mean, I might not want to, but I could also. I mean, you can do anything you want at that point, but if you have a million years, infinite time, don't you think you'll get bored with Teletubbies eventually? You might want some carnage,
absolutely not. Absolutely
After
not.
infinite time, I don't think you'll be you anymore. Like,
No. Look, especially if the simulation makes it so it doesn't even seem like that much time is going by. Like that's an important thing that could potentially help
well,
people who worry about, oh, I can't live forever. I mean, just all that time where it's like, well, what if your perception is totally like different? Like you could be
I
in a
can bring up.
simulation for what
Oh,
feels like a few seconds because you're having so much fun, but it was
that was
actually way
a
more than that.
that was a point I wanted to bring up. Lexicon, thanks for dropping that. Yeah, the GoFundMe funds were frozen, and I believe, and this is for the trucker convoy protest. I don't know exactly what's happening with those funds now, but I know that those were frozen, and also the they tried to set up, and I want to look at this company. They tried to set up a new one with Give, Send, Go, and it looks like the government has froze that account as well. That's collecting donations. Interesting.
It's really weird to be informed about Canadian news. If I was still just paying attention to American stuff, which isn't that much, by the way, I wonder if I would be hearing about this.
Adopt a Trucker, 7,500 givers, has raised 688,000. Now, if I click on this,
Travis, you're just gonna have to trust that money went to some people who need it and not anyone in the government that you don't like.
do people believe that it's like just the government seized it and it's going right into the pockets of the politicians?
I wouldn't be surprised if that's what people believe.
Oh. Yeah.
I don't think they believe it, but I think they, some of these people distrust their public officials so much that they're like, oh, I could see it happening.
I could see it. Yeah. Well, first of all, how are we gonna know? And then what are we even gonna do about it?
Like, I get why people mistrust officials, and honestly, like, I can only blame the officials. but it's definitely gone too far. Like, just I don't know. My anger's at the officials, though. I'm not mad at the people. I'm mad at the in charge people, the leaders.
So, Dal, do you have any topics on your mind?
Not in particular. We could go back to living forever. I like immortality. I thought this was going to go religious at some point, but
yeah, we could.
It was just a hunch beforehand.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that? Because I do want to live forever, and I've thought about the implications of that, and I come to the conclusion that if you are in control of what's going on, as much as being able to live forever or not, you can essentially develop or construct anything that's possible, right? So I was thinking like, okay, but when I get to 100,000 years, am I gonna be sick of living? Well, maybe, yeah, sick of living in some form of living, but can't you just change it up? I mean, if we add other stipulations to this and say, okay, would you live forever on planet Earth? I don't know. I think that's a different question.
I mean, I tend to think
I will. Sorry, go ahead, Dal.
I mean, I'm kind of with you, Andy. Like, I think that novelty is a function of our brain. Like, our brain assigns novelty to certain stimuli based on whatever biological functions it's doing. And you can train your brain, or maybe even you recreate yourself in some way biologically where you don't have that. So you could, like, every time you see your wife or girlfriend, you could be just as happy as the first time you met them.
That would be that would definitely be part of the simulation, is people being able to change themselves however they wanted to, pretty much.
Yeah. To me, the thing about living forever really comes down to what are you gonna do and why? Like, what's the, like? I feel like if I was living forever, I'd eventually end up just like in a hut somewhere on a mountain, just kind of hanging out for eternity.
Dude, I could just have fun and hang out for eternity.
Like, I mean, think of the endless amount of cinema there would be to watch. Like, you could eventually create cinema generators, right?
Literally, you could watch every movie ever made.
Exactly. So, and you know, here's an interesting thing. Like, what is living forever going to do to your biological form? I mean, evolution by natural selection tells us that there's going to be change over time if there's mutation, but there's drastic enough changes to your environment. Simply just living for longer, if you're in that much control, is there really going to be that much change? Where is the maybe your brain matter is going to grow, as you have to use it more over time. But it's a weird thing, because there's not really the passing of genes and the random mutation through that process. Like, what's that going to look like if it's just one entity living forever?
I think you'd have to mitigate that consciously to avoid dying, right?
We could be like put into some kind of stasis to where our bodies don't change at all or something.
Yeah.
We could do a ship of Theseus type thing and just slowly replace our organic parts with bionic parts, and maybe eventually escape it that way.
Honestly, I think the ideal route would not be to get technology too caught up in our bodies. Sure, we can do that, but I think we really need to look at enhancing ourselves biologically. Like, don't just replace that arm with a robot arm. Grow it back somehow, if you can find a way.
At a certain point, I think technology will blend with biology. But yeah, I think I agree with you. Sure.
Yeah, like we're really close to people like having Neuralink, right? Like, at least like the early stages of technology where, you can maybe turn a screen that no one else can see on and off, right? Just with your mind.
I don't know if I trust that, but
you just don't want people to see what's in your mind.
Oh, absolutely not. Yeah.
That's a interesting thing. Like, that doesn't bother me. Like, if I had to give up like the privacy of my own mind, it wouldn't bother me.
Oh man,
like,
I need it.
If there's like if like there's a strong enough argument towards like, okay, this is going to improve public safety a lot if this is mandated. What do you guys think about that? What do you think of privacy of mind? Should this be something eventually that we remove for safety's sake? We remove that right?
No way.
If we remove it, I think we'll have to change culturally a lot, because like if you were to broadcast the gibberish your mind does 24 hours a day, 7 days a week
Well,
right now, you would
I
be
imagine you'd be
insane
able to
by
filter it.
anyone's.
Or it would be filtered. Because, I mean, yeah, if we had access to the pure thoughts of some random person, it would be gibberish. It would be like random words and like bits of a thought, and then like I guess maybe images too. So
Really random
I guess the
thoughts
only
that
way
go
for that to be coherent would be like some built-in filter. But yeah, I want privacy of mind. Absolutely. Maybe not for people who are incredibly dangerous. But I still really don't like that technology.
What's the appeal of privacy of mind?
Does it matter if I could describe to you the appeal? I think it's my right.
like imagine. Well, I think it kind of, the only reason I can see for being really pro privacy of mind is being afraid that something might be seen as wrong by someone somewhere, and they might try to stop you, or it might affect you in some way in reality. Right. But I think if culturally or legally or whatever we can get to a point where that won't be a problem in the future.
Yeah, well, I think it would have to come with it that, you know, you can't, like, thought crime can't be a thing. But if it was used, what if it was used in a way like someone would see certain computations of your mind emerging that are signs of destructive behavior or unwellness, and they could get on top of that, you know, at the very early stages of when this stuff's emerging, you know?
Yeah, call me crazy, but I think maybe we should keep people's thoughts to themselves for the most part.
What if we design a hyper-intelligent AI to keep track of all the thoughts?
Oh, well, yeah, I couldn't possibly imagine how that could go wrong.
So this is what I'm talking about. Like, if your doctor had access to your mind processes, like, your doctor might be able to get a huge head start on someone who's starting to show, like, the algorithm of depression is creeping in, or the algorithm of psychopathy, or the algorithm of whatever, you know, is creeping into your mind. Let's deal with this and sort it out before it spills over into, you know, it would just be like a health measure.
I think there is a way to have that and keep privacy of mind, because my understanding of understanding the brain waves going through someone's head, you kind of have to build a relationship with the particular individual and figure out what computations mean apple or dog per individual. It's not like a global thing that maps to everybody.
Right.
So if you just don't like map your system to them specifically, but you could still keep those global signs like depression. We have a pretty good idea of what that looks like in the brain.
Yeah. So
we could still see that.
Yeah. So maybe you're right. Like, we would still have to have a system that's parsing through your thoughts, right, in order to detect these things. So maybe we would say it only becomes like a notification isn't sent to your doctor unless something unhealthy pops up. You know, from an objective well-being standard.
I don't know, man.
Andy, you got something to hide.
I don't get you don't get beeped on YouTube unless we say the C word right now or something.
Yeah.
They won't come watch our video unless we say something wrong.
Cunt.
Or big
we have more viewers. By the way, if you guys weren't here earlier, the YouTuber Destiny and Twitch streamer gamer likes to engage in intellectual discourse will be joining me on the Pangburn podcast next Friday, which is February 18th. I'm looking forward to that discussion. Let me know if you guys know who Destiny is. Let me know what you think I should speak with him about in the comment section below. Andy, why don't you hit us with some news there, brother?
All right. Do you want me to start with the regular stuff or get into the more irregular?
Ooh. What do you think, Dal? Irregular or regular? Oh, I might have lost him. Can you hear me, Andy?
Oh, I heard that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know. I heard.
Let's go with the regular stuff to start out. Dazzle us.
All right. Well, I mean, it's all a little bit irregular, but that's why I picked it. But you know what I meant by irregular.
Yeah.
So got this from SciTech Daily. Liquid water confirmed beneath Martian South Polar Cap. So, a scientist of Southwest Research Institute measured the properties of ice brine mixtures as cold as negative 145 degrees Fahrenheit to confirm that salt water likely exists between grains of ice or sediment underneath the ice cap at the Martian South Pole.
Really?
Yeah, so Mars, just to keep, the more we look at it, the more suspicious it seems. Measurements by geophysicist Dr. David Stillman. A bit daunting.
So what?
Still.
Oh, still, man.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when you say looking a bit suspicious, what are you talking about?
I mean, signs of previous life or maybe
okay.
even current life.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm with you.
So, geophysicist Dr. David Stillman support unusually bright reflections detected by the MARSIS, Mars Advanced Radar, for subsurface and ionosphere sounding. Subsurface sounding radar aboard ESA's Mars Express orbiter. Oh, Dalsu just left.
Oh, he probably couldn't
He
hear.
came back. All right. Can you hear us, Dalsu?
Can you hear us, Dal? Oh, we'll just keep going. Dal, I'm sure he'll connect with us.
Seeing if anybody's saying anything interesting in the chat. The thread or chat. Why did you say Epstein?
Because someone said up above that, there's certain names you can't say in the chat. Are you there,
That's
Dal?
true.
Oh yeah, it looks like we have Dal now.
Testing 1 2.
Yo.
Yes. You can't say David Icke. The lizard reptilian guy. Apparently, you can't say his name.
David Icke.
Yeah, the guy who was a big name in the lizard conspiracy.
How do you say it, or how do you spell it? Like, I'll do it.
Icke. I think it's pronounced Ike, but it's spelled Ick.
Okay, so if I put that, are we saying that?
Don't put it in the title, because I feel like that does put
no, not the title.
spotlight.
I'm just gonna throw it in the chat.
Yeah, no, that might not do anything, but I don't know. It could be that the caution about his name, if it even did exist in the algorithm, is not even there anymore. But
yeah. Anyways, yeah. Continue.
So the MARSIS flies over the planet, bouncing radio waves over a selected area with a 130-foot antenna to receive and analyze the echoes or reflections, and any near-surface liquid water should send a strong and bright signal, and a radar signal for ice or rock would be much smaller. So conventional models assume the South Pole on Mars faces temperatures considerably lower than the melting point of Earth, causing scientists to question the presence of liquid water. Clay, hydrated salts, and saline ices have been proposed as possible explanations for the source of the bright basal reflections. And the Italian-led team investigated the proposed phenomena by using previous data, simulations, and new laboratory measurements. And Stillman can be quoted as saying, "The lakes of liquid water actually exist beneath glaciers in Arctic and Antarctic regions, so we have Earth analogs for finding liquid water below ice. The exotic salts that we know exist on Mars have amazing antifreeze properties, allowing brines to remain liquid down to negative 103 degrees Fahrenheit. We studied these salts in our lab to understand how they would respond to radar." Sorry, he has a lot of quotes that I wanted to save. My Italian colleagues reached out to see if my laboratory experiment would support the presence of liquid water beneath the Martian ice cap. The research showed that we don't have to take lakes of perchlorate and chloride brines, but that these brines could exist between the grains of ice or sediments and are enough to exhibit a strong dielectric response. This is similar to how seawater saturates grains of sand at the shoreline, or how flavoring permeates a slushy.
So,
but
I mean,
negative.
What this kind of
Yep.
means to me is like this technique of being able to determine whether there might be liquid water. This is kind of a way we would like make a determination of where we would land, like a drill of some kind, right? To kind of look and maybe take a sample under the surface in a certain area.
All you ever think about is drilling, Travis. Vincent Stevens in the chat says Mars is boring. And he also says that it's boring. Well, listen, Vincent.
Hey, Lexicon says the study Andy is talking about is BS. It's chlorates mixed in with the CO2 in a clathrate, like methane at the bottom of the ocean. So this is from, your article is from where, Andy? I want to look it up.
SciTech Daily.
Daily,
I hope it's a
because
reliable
Lexicon
source.
thinks it's wrong. Let's see if Lexicon is wrong.
And I don't know if you'd be able to determine that quickly.
Well, I mean, if the and what's the title of the article?
I think the title is what I used in my notes. Liquid water confirmed
here we
beneath
go.
Martian solar south polar cap.
Right.
Hey Mace, what's up?
What up, Mace?
Talking about Mars again, your favorite planet in the solar system
Mars.
besides Uranus.
So boring. Don't go to Mars.
Mars is cool.
No.
Mars is cool.
Mars is not cool.
You ever
not as
seen
cool
that
as the
movie,
moon.
Martian? The moon is pretty cool.
Dude, we should
give you
have people living on the moon by now. Like, come on.
Yeah, at least before we go to Mars, like it's a rest stop. Come on.
Well,
you
they
can
wanna-
refuel.
I think
Isn't that what they wanna do
Pangburn should
for?
have the first radio station broadcasting from the moon. That's what I think.
Yeah. And I'm the only one who lives there. It's just me on the outpost, and then yours is still on Earth, and I'm just there
Andy,
for no reason.
What's new
For
and exciting
promotional
up there in the moon base? Nothing.
That's hilarious. Andy, who wants to live
yeah,
on Earth
I'm-
forever.
I'm
ends
the
up on
only
moon.
one here. I don't understand. You said I was going here for promotional reasons, and that you'd come with me.
Andy, it's against the YouTube algorithm to show your hammer on screen.
Huh? Oh, really? This is my only form of protection outside of, when I go for walks. Mjolnir.
Silk says Mars is dope as fuck. Totally agree. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you drop a like. Let's get those likes rolling in. Mace, what's new with you, man? Oh, finally Dell makes it. What's that?
You know
I made
what
it.
always surprises me?
What's that?
Sudden, unexpected events.
Sudden, unexpected.
You
events.
used that on
That's true.
a girl on one of the dating sites, didn't you?
Do you like the joke?
I feel like you showed me a screenshot of a chat where you said that to one of those girls. By the way, Mace is just constantly just slaying on these dating apps, just reeling them in.
Is that true?
Putting his
No.
fish hook in the water, and they get it
I
every
don't
time.
I don't want to
what
hear
he's
where he's
talking
putting his
about.
Every
fist.
time. They can't.
He's
resist.
talking shit.
Yeah, he's talking shit.
I take it
No,
that
but he
joke
does-
didn't land then.
He does talk a lot about it, to me at least, because we're bros that way, right, Mace?
Okay, cool.
Was that joke too dry?
So I
It
dropped
wasn't
the
a joke; it was a fact.
I dropped the link for those guys. Like, Andy, what do you think is that kind of the argument that, people are looking for potential areas where there could be life? You look for liquid water, and this is just an attempt.
Well, hey,
to
look,
find...
they didn't even mention the possibility of life in the article.
Right.
So that was just my impression, that if it looks like there could be liquid water, I feel like that's more bits of circumstantial evidence for maybe there at least used to be life on Mars. But then there is the problem of potentially assuming too much similarities between how things are on Mars and how they are on Earth.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like maybe they wouldn't be that different. I mean, we're right next to each other, but maybe that's me thinking too simply about it. So let's see. Oh wait, no, they do mention it because I say it in my notes. Of course, since all life known about by us requires water, the search for water is linked to the search for potential habitability. Dillman says, in this case, following the water has led us to a place so cold that life as we know it couldn't flourish. But it's still interesting, and who knows what evolutionary paths extraterrestrial life may have taken. So I guess he's kind of leaving it open that there still could technically be life that just happens to be very extremophilic or still be, able to exist even in these circumstances. But, either way, it's still an unknown. Yeah, cool. So it looks like the reference for this article would be, I guess, the actual study called Assessing the Role of Clay and Salts on the Origin of Mars's Basal Bright Reflections. Just rolls off the tongue. And I would have took notes on the authors of that, but there were a lot of them. So I'm sure if you find the study, you'll find them.
Silk Road.
But I really didn't want to write all of them down.
Yeah, Silk Road Swag says the Curiosity's chemical probe heats the dirt to sterilization, and it is a massive design flaw. There may yet be bacterial life on Mars. Yeah, I mean, that would... finding any form of life on any planet outside of Earth would be fucking exciting to me.
Why does it heat the dirt?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Classic Mace coming in skeptical of the information presented, just asking all kinds of questions. Sorry.
Yeah, Andy, what was your? Do you want to jump to your paranormal thing?
Yeah. Okay. Let's go. So we'd be skipping past a couple notes, but I do want to get to it because we haven't been getting to it recently. Okay, here we go. This is a very famous case. Anybody who has interest in the paranormal who might be watching, you might have already heard about this. And my source for this, and I could have used multiple sources, by the way, because it's so well known among the community, at least. But the YouTuber who I shadowed to get my information brushed up on this, I watched their video, would be a YouTuber called Bob Gimlin, Gymlan. Go subscribe to him. He makes good videos. He usually just talks about Bigfoot, but that's not what we're talking about this time.
Does he believe in the existence of Bigfoot, by the way?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
I can't speak. A lot of his videos, he seems to think it's very probable.
Okay, I'm interested. Lay it on us.
He makes some good cases, but this is not really a Bigfoot.
Wait, you kind of skip past
Mace has a problem.
What is Bigfoot?
We can talk about that, but this isn't really a.
Let's leave Bigfoot for
Bigfoot
after.
Story. That's just the source.
I'm Bigfoot.
You can't just skip past
Bigfoot, motherfucker.
Let me get to the actual story. Bigfoot actually does come up in this story, but it's not the main focus, which makes it even weirder in a way.
That is really weird. Anyways, continue.
So, Enfield, Illinois, 1973. April 25th at 10 p.m.
Straight away, that's a load of bollocks. We all know Illinois does not exist. That is imaginary.
Jesus
working
Christ.
with the hypothetical that Illinois exists, this is the story. So a man named Henry Nathaniel arrives home from work. He finds his two children, 12-year-old son and 15-year-old daughter, in a state of panic. Both of them said that something had been trying to enter the house. They said it was initially scratching at the door, but then tried to dislodge a window-mounted air conditioning unit, which was now out of place. The kids said to their father that all of this had just happened, so he looked out of the front door, and that was when he claims to have seen a very bizarre creature. McDaniel told the Mount Vernon Register News it had, and this is a quote by him, had 3 legs on it, a short body, 2 little short arms coming out
was
of
one of the legs
area,
sticking up straight,
and 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights. It stood 4.5 feet tall and was grayish colored. All right, so that's the description of the creature.
Okay, wait.
I would continue,
Let's describe it one more time. It was 4 feet tall. It had big, glowing like flashlight eyes.
No, I didn't say. Oh wait, yeah, it was 4.5 feet tall, and it had 2 pink eyes as big as flashlights.
Okay.
It had 3 legs on it, a short body, which I think is the weirdest part of the description, that it had 3 legs.
Sounds like a short Mothman, like a Mothman's kid.
Yeah.
Not a Mothman. What did you have to say, Mace?
He still can't get over Bigfoot.
So,
No. I mean, first of all, it sounded like you were saying a paedophile was trying to get into the house, and then later on, when you said it had 3 legs, that kind of just like that was the final nail in the coffin for that theory. Because wait, no, not nail in the coffin, like the final confirmation.
A pedophile.
It's a very strange-looking pedophile, I guess.
Well, the third leg was sticking up.
Maybe it's your uncle. McDaniel said the creature headed toward the door, still apparently seeking to enter the house, and McDaniel slammed the door shut before this could happen. And I like this part because I feel like not enough people do this in these situations. McDaniel grabbed a 22 caliber pistol from out of his closet and returned to the front door, now armed. The creature was now only a step away from the stairs, and McDaniel claims that yes, he in fact successfully shot it. McDaniel is quoted as saying, "When I fired the first shot, I knew it hit. It hissed like a wildcat." McDaniel then described the creature as lunging off toward a row of trees, and by doing this covering 50 feet in 3 bounds, so 17 feet per bound. Now, when I hear stuff like that, that's when my brain, which is bad at measurements and math, is like, how were you able to determine that? But I guess that's not
especially
that strange.
When it's only 4 feet tall. My question would be, you know how it has 3 legs? Is the creature a ball with like a leg there, and it sort of like rolls?
Look up the.
I want to know what this guy looks like who told
Monster.
this story.
You'll find a picture of it, of how people tend to interpret that description.
Wait, what is his name?
The Enfield Monster.
Anyway, when does Bigfoot show up?
Really late in the game, and it's very strange. But it's interesting because this isn't the only example of a case where a bunch of weird stuff is allegedly happening in a town or wherever, and then part of it is, and yeah, there's also that one stray Bigfoot sighting as part accompanied with all this other stuff.
So Enfield Monster. Do we have a picture of the person who like any of the people who reported this? I really want. For some reason, I just need to know what the people who reported this look like.
They're probably
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if we do.
There must be some on YouTube.
Well, this was a long time ago. I mean, it was 1970.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna drop this for you guys. The Gilman video. Because he did
Gimlin, yeah. Watch his video because I used that as my source for this. But yeah, he does great videos because when he tells the story, he also usually illustrates it. And
okay, cool. Yeah, I wonder if there's any like news clippings anywhere that exist of like the people. Usually they'll take a picture of the person who's reporting something, right?
Yeah, guys. Absolutely. Even if you're just like a skeptic and you don't think any of like this kind of stuff could be real, like go watch his videos, like subscribe to him. He's a great YouTuber. I've been pretty impressed with his stuff.
It's also a good exercise in skepticism, right? See where there's logical leaps that are taken, unnecessary dichotomies where someone's like, well, it's either this Enfield Monster or it's not, right? It's like well, like
I mean, as long as you subscribe. He has the last laugh. But so yeah, it lunged off after he hit it. He fired 4 more times, but he doesn't think he was successful in shooting it again. So he ended up calling the police, and 2 state troopers would show up just before midnight. They couldn't find the creature, but they did find some strange tracks. And these tracks were stated.
He wasted police time for some sort of made-up creature.
Well, it could have been a dude in a suit or something.
That's what I'm like.
No,
of course, it's a dude in a suit.
That if we factor in the other parts of the description, that wouldn't make any sense. It's more likely he hallucinated, but that his kids were also hallucinating. I don't know.
Did he shoot his kids? This
No,
sounds like like
okay.
the Dwight Schrute story when he's like, yeah, I've never hunted vampires. I've only hunted werewolves. But the one time I did shoot a werewolf, by the time I got over to it, it had transformed back into my neighbor's dog.
Yeah. So, but there were some there were also some tracks that the police were also testing to. So these tracks were stated to have been similar to a dog, but with 6 pads instead of 5. So counting the bottom pad, there's 6 pads instead of 5. So the tracks were also strangely spaced, implying an abnormal gait, which of course would be expected if we were really dealing with a triped. And the police said that Nick Animal,
or if they were shot with a gun.
Or if they were shot, yeah. But he didn't seem that damaged. He seemed more pissed off from what McDaniel said. But the police said that McDaniel appeared rational and sober, and that they too believed that something unusual had occurred, and were even prepared to take similar calls. The next day, Officer James Masser, ignore the potential baggage behind that last name, visited other homes in the area, but the only corroborating witness he could find was a 10-year-old boy named Greg Garrett. And this is where the skeptic is like, their ears are going to prick up, but it actually gets clear later in the story that it doesn't really help the case. It doesn't really hurt it too much necessarily either, but it's just anyway. Garrett said that the night before at 8:30 p.m. he saw a creature, and I'll go over the timeline. He saw a creature that looked just like the one McDaniel described. He said it had grayish, slimy skin and short claws with red eyes, and that it stomped on his shoes. And that detail will become relevant. This little rascal. Around this time, the press tried to suggest that McDaniel saw an escaped kangaroo. But aside from the obvious inconsistencies between that and what was described, and maybe we could chalk that up to it was dark, alarmed, whatever. It turns out McDaniel was once stationed in Australia as part of his military career. And at the base he was stationed at, they were treating kangaroos very casually, like pets. So McDaniel himself was pretty sure that's not what he saw that night. This is a man who believes he knows kangaroos when he sees them. So,
and also, didn't he describe like bright flashlight-like eyes?
Yeah, flashlight-like eyes.
I mean, right away we
kangaroos
can say
might have reflective eyes,
whether he hallucinated this thing or not. This doesn't sound like a kangaroo, right? So the kangaroo explanation's weird.
Well, I guess the
I'm much more leaning
angle,
towards hallucination at this point in time, where he dreamt it and it was a very real dream. But yeah, I'm sure there's more information.
I think he's just an idiot.
Well, remember, he came home, and then he was alerted to this by his kid. So he came home, and his kids were already alarmed, and they told him
I know,
that.
but you have to understand there are some people in the world who you just can't rely on for anything. Like you can ask them.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because
what color
within the small town that he lived, McDaniel was thought of as a serious person. He had a good reputation and wasn't seen as dishonest or troublesome.
There are some people where you could hand them an object and ask them to describe the object, and what comes out of their mouth would just be complete gibberish that doesn't reflect reality. And those sorts of unreliable people, probably the kind of people that also make claims like this.
I also would add that I don't think anything that I've ever heard of has 3 legs, and evolving 3 legs seems like an incredibly purposeless thing. I don't think that I've ever heard of anything ever needing 3 legs.
I mean, it sounds yeah, it does.
Well, who's to say
we all have the same amount of limbs, right? Every creature on the planet has a head, 2 armish limbs, and 2 leggish limbs that are bone structures for them at least. And so I don't think it would be a naturally evolved.
It would be unprecedented. Anyway,
I could imagine. Hold on, no, I could imagine it being like a ill raccoon, with a growth maybe or something, like a really swollen, gnarly ill raccoon or a deer or something.
Yeah, something that's severely diseased. That's. And this is going down the line. If we have trace evidence that something was there. If we can determine something was there, then we could say, okay, we think something was here. Now, what are some reasonable?
Well, they had the footprints. They had footprints with that the police saw when they got there that had the weird 6-paw pads and were weirdly spaced. So I'm not sure what happened with those. I don't know if they made casts. They probably didn't. But within the small town,
just because they say it, we can't believe them, right?
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's kind of like when people say yeah, the police who arrived at Roswell, they had the alien bodies, they had the chunks of spacecraft, right?
The point is, shut up. 2 weeks later, McDaniel called a radio station based out of Kokomo, Indiana.
Way down in Kokomo.
So way down in Kokomo. McDaniel claims to have seen the creature once again. On May 7th, this time it was going down an abandoned railroad track near his house.
Maybe it was his ex-wife.
Isn't it strange how the same person keeps seeing it?
Yeah. I agree with Mace on this one. Isn't it funny that this creature keeps following him around? Maybe.
That would be weird.
Oh, yeah.
McDaniel says he could have shot it again, but chose not to, and that it didn't seem to be in any hurry. So the news director, and this is where weird characters start to come in. So
he's starting to get famous off this, right?
Nobody can hear you, Dalsu, which is probably good.
You're muted.
By the way, you cannot intimidate me with those glasses.
My
glasses are
trying to imitate, not intimidate. Imitate.
You're challenging my dominance.
No, you're cool, and I'm copying you, and I want to be.
I'm actually intrigued by this now. So he sees it again. But he's getting news attention, and look, he got some attention the first time he saw it, right? And then, I
knew that part of the story would cause issues.
No. I'm just saying, and then he's like, man, that attention was cool. I was a part of something. I felt like people wanted to listen to me. Guess what? I saw it again, guys.
That's how he felt. But...
No. I'm just saying, what could be the case, right?
All right. So, this is where more bizarre characters come in. Freaking something strange happens in
Yeah,
what's the name of that
this
show?
For 20 minutes now. When's Bigfoot coming in?
It's I told you he's not the star of this story, okay?
Yeah, but you said Bigfoot would feature an appearance.
We will
do this. In later, okay?
This is later. Mace, you gotta just wait. It's coming. I know.
It's crazy. It's something a little out of the ordinary happens in Mayberry. Yeah. And a bunch of, I don't know, it's probably not that small of a town, but the news director, Rick Rainbow, arrived on the scene, and he and his cameraman claimed to have seen an ape-like figure walking around an abandoned building.
Is that Bigfoot?
They weren't. they weren't prepared enough to. It sounds like Bigfoot. They weren't prepared enough to film the creature, but tried to follow it, never capturing the creature in frame, but managing to record strange audio of it that sounded like a woman screaming and a baby laughing. Sadly, this audio, if it exists, seems to be unavailable on the internet. So, allegedly this happened, and allegedly there is audio, but for some mysterious reason, it was never published. I'm not saying that means it doesn't exist. It's weird that it's never been out there. Maybe it got destroyed, but if it does exist. 2 days after this happened, Rick Rainbow spoke to McDaniel in his studio, and that evening the police responded to the sound of gunshots and would find a group of 5 men, heavily armed and drunk, and claimed to have recently encountered the monster and that they almost blew it away. The three-legged monster. And the police told them to disperse and that they would be charged if they didn't, and they did.
I'm pretty sure I've seen this creature, by the way, on a Magic the Gathering card, green color.
Huh? What?
The way this creature looks, like when I was looking at images of it, it looks like a green, like swamp like creature, like maybe a black green hybrid Magic the Gathering creature.
No, yeah, it's on the weirder end of things. Yeah, which is why the story kind of stands out. But
maybe it was actually Bigfoot, but in a costume.
Maybe.
Yeah,
these are the ideas.
But this is weird. So the first guy, did this other group of guys, were they from the same town as him? The initial guy?
Yes.
Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. Yeah. He's getting all this attention, right? And then this other group of guys who had heard about this or know that they want to get in on the attention, right? So they say, we saw this thing too. It's not just him. And I know that sounds petty, like why would people do that? But I think people do that same thing with like when they hear people talk about like being abducted by aliens, and then the more they get into that scene, all of a sudden they too have been abducted by aliens.
Yeah, but in this instance, it sounds more like these guys were just like drunk and messing around, but I don't know.
They probably shot at someone else.
That's part of that's part of the report, is that they were heavily armed and drunk. So the police told them to disperse. I already read that. Sorry. Yeah. Then Greg Garrett, the 10-year-old witness I mentioned earlier, called researchers at Western Illinois University and claimed that he made up the story he told about the creature stomping on his shoes. And that he just wanted to mess with McDaniel and any out of town news people.
Yeah, no shit. Like people troll.
But here's the problem. And this is why I mentioned I would get to the timeline.
Okay.
Is that first came the initial sighting by Henry McDaniel on April 25th at 10 p.m. And then second came the Greg Garrett initially claiming on April 26th what he experienced on April 25th. But according to his story, it happened at 8:30 p.m. So I feel like there's a slight issue there. But third came the second sighting by Henry McDaniel on May 7th. And fourth came the sighting by Rick Rainbow and his cameraman of an ape-like figure on May 8th. So an unrelated Bigfoot just out of nowhere. And then fifth came the disturbance caused by the drunken men who claimed to be hunting the monster on May 10th. So
Tim
there was
says,
never really
the revolting blob. So Andy, what's your conclusion here? Like, what do you think?
Well, I just wanted to address how Greg Garrett's claim, the little 10-year-old, kind of doesn't make sense to me. Maybe I'm confused myself, because he says that his sighting happened at 8:30.
Right.
And he gave the description, but then he and this was the day after McDaniel's sighting. But then McDaniel gave the same description, but what he experienced also allegedly on that date happened at 10 p.m. So that means Greg Garrett would have had to have made up a thing that before it happened, like before somebody thinks they experienced it. I don't know, but
Interesting.
like he came up with a description of the creature before somebody unrelated somewhere else in the town saw that creature. I don't know about that.
And what's the
But-
what was the name of this creature again?
They call it the Enfield Monster after the town.
Enfield Monster. Okay, I'm gonna put that in the description so people know that we're talking about it.
Put it in the description. You put me in the company of much better people who've talked about this, which I don't know if I.
No, it's
I don't know
cool.
if I
It's
deserve
cool
that,
to. I think it's important. Iron Charioteer was kind of bringing this up. It's important to, give people examples of how, skeptics think through things, right? Where you don't necessarily go to like start from a position of, I think this happened, and let me try to figure out how it happened. And that's what I'm going to believe. Like someone could very well say like, oh, the reason why that kid recanted this is because obviously, parents put pressure on the kid and forced him to change his story.
I think that's fairly likely.
Yeah, but that's a problem because it's like why would yeah, it's possible that's what happened, but let's look at what's plausible. Is it more plausible that the kid made the story up about the monster, or that he saw a real monster and that then that the parents are in on getting him to cover it up and say he didn't see it? It's like if we Occam's razor that thing.
Well, it's weird to me that he said that he claims he made the story up to mess with McDaniel.
That's not
but
weird
when he
to me
says
at all.
but when he says that, it sounds like okay. So he heard McDaniel saw this creature.
Yeah.
That he made up. So then he made up his own sighting to mess with it. That I don't.
Yeah,
that goes in like a time loop. It doesn't make any sense.
But doesn't it make more sense that someone's just being like a kid's being irrational, like and illogical when they're it's not sound logic when they're trying to explain like why they made something up or even using the right words to describe what they did. I think it's much more reasonable that like
that's true, but this kid was a little bit of a little monster because you remember in the story, he says that the creature stomped on his shoes. He actually tried to get people to buy him new shoes. So he was being very capitalist about this. So he had a plan. But was this kid a little bit tricky? Yes. But were there weird details about this? And does his claim to have made it up and started it make sense? Not really, not to me. You still have the sighting of McDaniel and the kids and all this weird stuff. And McDaniel doesn't really seem like a particularly less than credible person. And then you have the police taking it very seriously and seeing the tracks. And so I feel like it wasn't just so simple as some kid just made this up to mess with a guy after he heard about him talking about something that he made up and that he somehow found out about. So,
have you ever made something up without knowing that you were making it up?
No, I don't think so.
Because I have, and I know people that have. They're not aware of it, of course, but I've heard people tell me stories of things which I just know are definitely untrue. Like, for example, I know one person who claims that she saw an angel when she was little. She 100% swears she saw an angel appear before her in her room when she was little. I just know that's not true. That's a load of nonsense. But she 100% believes that. Come on, man.
No, you come on. I mean, how do you know that that's not true?
Do you
say it like it's a solid example, and the fact is, no, you just you strongly suspect that it's not true. You don't really know that it's not
So
true.
she says that she saw like a person with wings glowing with a halo in her house, and then suddenly they just whoosh out the window or some
So
shit. I
this
can't
is-
remember the details.
but this is where-
and
It's
also,
not even what angels look like.
but also when I was
Angels
when I
look
was
like Dao
little,
Tzu.
when I was little, I used to believe in Father Christmas so much that on Christmas Eve, my parents could tell me, "Shh, listen, can you hear the bells? Can you hear the bells in the sky?" And I'd be quiet and I'd listen as hard as I could. And I would actually make myself think I could hear bells in the distance. Like,
Maybe he was out there.
So this is the thing. Humans have this problem where they make things up. Like, they trick themselves into thinking things. And I feel like there has to be a word for this because it's way too common.
It probably is. But anyway, if you want a much better coverage about this,
Delusion.
go over to Bob Gimlin. He covered it way better than me. Travis, you said you got the link in the chat.
Yeah,
right?
I did. I dropped it for
video?
you guys there. Andy, that's a cool story. I like going through these strange phenomena just so that we can, us and the audience can test their skepticism on what these claims have made. I think Mace brought up some really good points.
I mean, if you want to take all the fun out of it, sure.
Yeah, that's what we're here to do. Dal, let's go to Dal for a bit here. Where are you at philosophically? And take what you mean. Take that question in any direction that you want to go.
Where I'm at philosophically is a really weird position where I'm hesitant to call it a true contradiction because it can be explained away. And basically, I've been using terms like transtheist, which is like especially concerning something like the existence of God. I believe that because of what that term means to people and what what it tends to replace in like the mental map aspect of a human, like what they're calling God, I think it's something fundamental to the nature of reality, kind of like an ontological base from which they build everything else up. And I think that non-God believers have the same thing, and they haven't gotten rid of it. They've just renamed it, and God has come to mean like a deity, essentially. Like the Abrahamic God is seen like a God of all things, rather than like the fundamental necessary like the thing that before everything else was, the only thing that was like the potential. That was what God was originally meant as, in my opinion. And because of that, I'm in this weird position where I can agree with atheists, because I can also, like, yeah, there is no God as in the deity, like the bearded man in the sky that grants wishes, or angels that have halos and fly around. But there's definitely something in there that's not like that. Like I don't think it's wrong to call it God necessarily. I think they're like, in the same way a lot of people are bad at science and science communication, that doesn't make science wrong. I think there's a lot of people that are bad at theology and don't know what the fuck they're talking about.
The difference there, though, is that science is based on experiments that have been done to lead to a conclusion, whereas religions are all just pulled out of someone's arse based on absolutely nothing.
So
like, they have no reason to believe that the world was made in 7 days or whatever.
Also, he wasn't even talking about any religions. He was talking about God as a concept. And
sure, but I think he was referring mostly to the Abrahamic religions, and in those religions,
that's wrong.
I'm a perennialist, so
let's use that as an example. In the Abrahamic religions, they claim the universe was created by God in 7 days. What reason do they have to come to that conclusion? They've pulled out their arse.
So days are made by like the sun and the earth, right? So before the existence of the sun and the earth, there was no time span of days. So what are we calling these? What are these time spans? Like it's not like you can't make the earth and the sun in one day, there would be no days for it
So-
to be made. So I
so
think
we're
the whole
talking-
thing is metaphorical.
Yeah. Well, conceptual. So you're talking about the problem of like, well, just like the measurement of time, right? So change is time in physics. No change, no time, including, particulate change at the fundamental particle level. So we have that as a way to measure time and the rate of change and how that rate of change falls onto our, scale of time and how we measure it. This is how we kind of can understand how fast time is moving relative to, being in other spaces, like rate of change in other spaces. So, okay, but when I think about like, the concept of God as, if someone like Jordan Peterson would say, kind of like the greatest achievable good at the top of that hierarchy, right? Doesn't need to be God. But you're claiming that even atheists will kind of replace something where God typically would be. Is it replace, or is it, or isn't it more correct to say the theist replaces what is going on in reality with a concept of God?
Well, no. So here's what I like. I think reality is it's not a moral thing that I'm making. God is good, and I could say that, but I'd have a different meaning than Jordan Peterson would.
Right.
God is good, as in without him there would be no things to be good, and so you need God in order to have goodness at all. And then I look at goodness and badness as like perspectives on this ladder we're in, and God being the most fundamental thing you can think of as like the emptiness before everything else. There's a lot of religions that think of God as like this void, this vast, like infinite voidness that you can't think of at all. And then if you look at reality, which is what I think the God term is equal to, reality is this thing that we cannot know. Like we can approach knowledge of it, and we can build systems within which we can claim to have knowledge, but only within these systems, actual fundamental reality is beyond our knowledge. It's unknowable, and it created all of us, and it's separate from us. It's separate from experiential reality, where there's things like, trees and all of their relatives, and that's separate from the dirt and the grass. Those are all not one system, but actually it's all one system called God. And then I have if I go into it, I can do like the Trinity and or talk about other concepts, but that's really the where I'm at right now. Is I think that the reason that I would say God is both real and not real is because the context we live in is attempting to examine the axiom of another system in its own system where that word already has a meaning. And because of that, it can be seen as false, but there's another system where it can be seen as true. And so I would call it both true and false, or neither, or whatever.
So you're kind of describing like the fundamental unknowable thing. I call it that. I don't call it God. And most people, the way they use God, don't mean the fundamental unknowable thing, right? So now it does this term.
Theologians,
What's that?
Most theologians, I would say, would tell you that God is unknowable and infinitely vaster than your mind, and so you wouldn't be able to approach him with any sort of knowledge. A lot of people will say that exact same thing and turn around and say they know God's a person. And I think that's just an obvious they don't understand their own theology all the way.
Okay, but I'm trying to get around, like, isn't there more accurate ways to describe the thing that you are calling God here, or that someone's calling, a theologian might call God? And I mean accurate based on the language we use in our mechanisms to try to figure out what is going on in reality. So, like, what would we call that thing that you were describing as God if we were at a scientific seminar? The unknown? The unknowable?
We'd probably call it reality, or like objective reality.
Yeah, like reality.
The absolute.
So what's wrong with us calling these things, calling this reality? You know?
Nothing. We can do it.
Yeah.
I do it most of the time.
Right. And then some people will say, like, they'll say, oh, reality, you mean God. But then I would say, no. God to me is a red herring or a distraction. It's an obfuscation away from just calling it reality.
I think it's okay that we have different perspectives.
Sorry?
I think it's okay that we have these different perspectives.
Yeah, no one's saying it's not okay. That's what we're having the conversation about. But I'm just wondering why we would further complicate with such a subjective. Like it's as useful to me when someone says, like, reality is God. It's as useful if someone says reality is love, and I hear that a lot too. People say reality is love.
I would agree with that.
Reality is God. Reality is death. Reality is suffering.
It's such a cliche,
but this stuff,
I think all of these things, when viewed at within their own system that you can get from that, I think they can be very psychologically helpful at the very least for a lot of them, and some of them can help with your understanding of the way the world works. But I think it's mostly by exploring these different closed logical systems that are out there. Like,
and I love doing
all
that.
Kind of grew, we all kind of grew up in one, and that's why, like, when you say no, God's a red herring, I know you're referring to, like, God, the atheist God. The God in the language that I grew up with too. So,
I'm actually referring to any concept of God. I'm referring to.
Thing is,
even if someone refigures reality, like if they just slap God on top of the reality label and just say, I call it God, I say, why did you slap that label on there? Reality itself was a good enough label. Right? What is real?
Yeah.
Sounds to me like they're trying to personify reality.
Well, maybe not, though, right?
That's the...
Because Dal was saying it doesn't have to be a personification. See what I've come to is I've tried to refine my language in my when working on my third book, even though I haven't published my first or second one yet, but I'm writing these 3 books simultaneously because it helps me. But I'm trying to use language that is as understandable as I can make it for things like, okay, I'm calling my absolute meta theory of everything that includes all concepts and all possible worlds into my state of potential theory, and I think the most accurate way I can come up with, and the most clear way I can come up with to describe, let's say, pre-Big Bang states, is just there is this ocean or wave and particle infinite state of potential. I'm not adding a term that is not scientific into when we're going about wanting to discover what is going on. I'm not adding like a subjective term. I'm adding something that we use to describe something objective. Pulling from the nomenclature of science and physics. But using God in this sense, I think, is a poor choice of word, not because it can't mean the same thing as state of potential if you just decide that it does. But that's maybe one of the things I don't like about the term is it's almost as universal as art. Like if we try to
I would say all terms are like that. I could, like love. I could call reality love. And I could, if you want, we could go through the system like of how that makes sense.
But I'm talking about language and how useful it can be if we are precise about it. And in questions of the objectivity of reality, if we rely on the language that holds objects to it, that has objects attached to it, like the photon, it's got objectiveness attached to it. If we use that language and continue to use it in a consistent way to describe the consistent relation of reality or what is going on in reality, then I think we get closer to using to doing what Einstein said was most important, but to simplifying our concepts, like continuing to simplify as opposed to obfuscating.
What if I told you that to most people, your attempts at clarifying are actually obscure, however you say that word.
Yeah.
Basically, the idea is that the God language, where God is that fundamental thing, has existed longer than the reality language, where the reality is that fundamental thing.
Yeah.
In the God language, reality is created. It's a creation. It's the thing we experience. So most people, when scientists, science communicators, or us laymen say reality, people imagine a place with green grass and blowing wind and trees and sunshine. They don't realize that is their own. That's creation. They're still living that biblical definition.
Yeah.
And so there still is that obscurity, that lack of clarification, unless you get in that deep, like, we're going to define things and figure out what we mean when we're talking, and then go back up to that upper layer.
Yeah. You're right about that, about science, right? And it's a thing that puts a dirty taste in people's mouth. Say they have a lot of fun watching ghost hunters and watching, some of these fun shows where they're hunting ghosts, they're examining or they're interviewing someone who claims to have been abducted by advanced alien civilization and flown around, like the Billy Meyer story. Some of these stories are really fun and exciting to get into, and I love them. It's not like I can't enjoy the value of like entertainment value or pleasure. I'll just say fundamentally the pleasure of engaging with these things for different reasons. But you're right that if I say, one thing that I can be, almost certain about is that all of this was born out of a state of potential, simply meaning that there was a state that had the potential for a Big Bang to occur in it. Or, whatever did happen. Maybe Big Bang cosmology is incorrect. It seems to be correct. But so I get that like sometimes someone can use new language to describe something that's more accurate, that has objectiveness attached to it, like we do in science all the time. And the general public, like when it comes to especially something that's dealing with a topic that has a widespread amount of mythos and ignorance attached to it, like the God concept, right? And what I mean by that is, like, some people think it's common knowledge that God created the universe, the heavens and the earth. Some people think that's like common knowledge. And for anyone to come out and say, well, I don't see any, I haven't seen an ounce of proof, and the evidence that's been presented, I don't think is strong evidence at all that this is the case. So I want to find words within the language that people can understand, that are going to simplify something that's quite complicated, like kind of what Stephen Wolfram's trying to do, and trying to find simple computations that lead to this, vast variety we see before us. So I think when we're talking about what is going on in reality, in a scientific sense, we don't use in the scientific nomenclature God, outside of a few instances where we say God particle or God, when we're talking about like if Michio Kaku's talking about something fundamental. By God, he seems to mean fundamental in that sense. Yeah. But to me, in my current phenomenological outlook and how I feel about things, I don't have a useful place for the God concept in my moral foundation, or when I look skeptically at the world, including using the scientific method.
Yeah, I would say it definitely can help from a moral level when you're talking to someone who has a deep psychological attachment to that sort of logical structure. Like if they believe God was a person up in heaven who created heaven and the earth and all of that in 7 days, then trying to convince them to undertake understanding the scientific stuff, let alone even but have an inkling of idea that it's anywhere near truth, because her religion, this book is true. That's what these people will say. And so talking to them in a way where you're not trying to cut down that whole tree of their logical system at one time.
I agree with that.
Instead, you can argue, yeah. I can approach them theologically and be like, yeah. God has no personhood. He exists. God is still the fundamental creator beneath all of this creation we've made, and we call it logic and or whatever. Yeah. But we, like other people, there are other names for him, and scientists call it reality. And so because of that, you can make this bridge where someone in this other logical system can still learn to communicate and speak in our scientific nomenclature to understand the miracles that our relationship with the fundamental thing of nature, God or reality or whatever, has brought us. And so and I think it's incredibly valuable and necessary.
I'm all for building bridges. I wanna let Mace and Andy go at a bit, because they've been poking at each other in the chat about God. But first, Mace, do you want to announce what your topic is tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. Asking. So tomorrow we'll be having a general discussion on the value of a human life.
Value of a human life. Okay, that's cool. But anyways, so Andy, Mace is calling this, God belief a delusion. You say in the chat, it's really not so black and white. Why is it not so black and white? Like, something either is a delusion or isn't, right? And why is believing, like are you referring to a creator, or are you referring to a deity? Why don't you guys just pick up wherever you want?
Well, isn't a delusion when you make yourself believe something that's not true?
They aren't making themselves believe it, though.
I think that does it. In order to be truly religious, I think it does require some effort on the part of the individual to also
Yeah, but
try to believe these things.
They don't go, I don't believe this, but now I do.
No. What happens is they struggle with their belief. They think, you know what? I'm having some difficulties with my faith. I need to go to church, and I need people to help me, and I'm gonna follow their advice to make myself believe in this more than I do now.
I think Iron Charioteer says something interesting. Delusion is a defined psychological condition. It does not include religious people. As for my take on this, isn't
Let's see what the definition is. Maybe I'll disagree with the definition then, because I think it definitely. Well, I wouldn't say a religious person is a delusion. I would say that the religion itself is the delusion. A religious belief.
If they hold it, that makes them delusional. If you hold a delusion, that makes you delusional.
Yes.
I don't really think it's. I don't think it's that simple. I mean, when I hear the word delusion, I think of something. Well, I of course believe in deities, but
here we go. Yeah, the very first definition that came up definitely includes religious beliefs. A delusion is an idiosyncratic belief or impression maintained despite being contradicted by reality or rational arguments.
The existence of God hasn't been contradicted by reality. If it was that easy,
the existence of many gods in every religion I've ever heard of is easily contradicted by not only the internal rationale of that religion, but also just by reality itself. Now, we can pick on Yahweh because that's the one that is the most popular at the moment. In Christianity, Yahweh is described as being omnipotent. The very concept of omnipotence is itself irrational, because you come to the problem of, can God create a stone which is too heavy for him to lift? If yes, then he's not omnipotent, and if no, then he's not omnipotent. So it's, straight away, these religions, they describe, as soon as they start describing their God, they cause a contradiction somewhere, either rationally or either they contradict reality, or it fits in with reality, but then there's internal contradictions with the rationale somewhere. Like they just never get it right.
I agree that if we use the specific example of Yahweh, there can't be a textually 100% accurate being of such a description, because that would contradict reality and also the description within the text itself. So right off the bat, I don't think the Bible could be 100% correct, because it contradicts itself, not only reality.
Exactly, but there are people who are deluding themselves into believing there really is this contradictory being.
I really think that's just being very not charitable. They're not deluding themselves. They're looking at the evidence that matters to them.
No, it's actually worse than that. They're deluding themselves and the communities around them.
Yeah, but when you say that also starts to imply malice, which, if they're delusional, that wouldn't really...
No, I'm not implying any malice at all. They are so delusional that they believe it's their duty to
that made it sound like you know you are and you're just being cute about it, but never mind, sorry.
No, I think if you're sound of mind and you're going around trying to make people believe fallacies, then that's malice. But if you are delusional yourself and you're trying to spread your delusion, which you believe to be true, that's not malice.
We weren't really talking about, or at least I wasn't trying to talk about two specific religions. I would say that, yeah, it's clear to me that no one religion on earth could really be correct, but in their entirety at least, but we haven't really been able to prove that God does not exist in any way.
You can prove that any god that has ever been claimed does not exist. because all of the gods that have been claimed to exist.
In an absolutely accurate to the text way, yeah, perhaps not. But that doesn't really prove that the text might be inaccurate at describing something that exists. And it definitely doesn't prove that no god or gods whatsoever exist. If we have somehow proven that with science, like we did an experiment that shows, therefore no gods. I don't.
Yeah, sure.
Well, we have strong indications. You can't prove an unfalsifiable, proposition. That's
well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can't prove that a god that hasn't been claimed to exist yet doesn't exist, but that doesn't matter because no one believes in such a god, by definition.
Yeah, they do.
No one believes in a god that hasn't been claimed to exist.
In a previously existing religion, yes, there are plenty of people who believe in a god. They just don't follow any specific religion.
You mean there are people who believe in a god that hasn't been claimed to exist?
Yes, by other religions.
Well, it doesn't matter if it's claimed by a religion or an individual. As soon as someone claims they know a god exists, I can say, okay, describe that god to me. And then at some point they're going to make a logical fallacy or an internal contradiction somewhere.
Really doesn't mean they're just failing to describe something that could actually exist.
Something can't exist if it involves a paradox. Like omnipotence. If omnipotence cannot exist.
And I generally think that way. But if people try and describe something and they have strange details that contradict, that is not really a guarantee that what they're describing doesn't exist in some sense, and they're just getting details wrong.
Sorry, I was reading that other guy. What was that?
If somebody says that God exists, that they believe that God exists, and they explain some things, and then eventually the logic starts to break down, that doesn't disqualify God from existing. That just means their description wasn't perfectly accurate.
Why would their description be wrong if they believe in the one true God?
What? Are you responding to something I didn't even say?
It sounds like you're saying, yeah, they can talk absolute shit, but it doesn't mean that they believe in the real God. It just means they don't know how to describe it. And it's like, well, if they know that God exists, why can't they describe it accurately?
They don't know God exists. No one knows God exists, or no one knows God doesn't exist either.
Well, I do know that any god that's ever been claimed to exist doesn't exist.
Yeah, in a 100% accurate way, I would say it's probably safe to say you know that doesn't exist.
Ooh, sounds like we agree then. What's the issue?
No, we don't agree, because I'm saying there could still be a god, and you're saying that
we do agree.
That there is
we
no
do.
God.
I disagree with you there. We absolutely agree. Okay, another joke that didn't land.
You are such a tricky, wily coyote. Where are we right now?
I think we are in the Milky Way somewhere.
I wanna make a cool announcement. Actually, no, I'm not going to do that yet. I can't do it yet. I just got an email that's quite exciting. But let's.
Oh, have you won the Spanish National Lottery?
Yes, I have.
Credit card details.
I won €20. No. If I won a big lottery, first thing I would do is build the first Pangburn Education Center. That's what I would do.
My favorite thing with those.
Would you buy me a haircut?
I would buy.
When they say,
okay, look. First, honestly, I would buy for Dal. He would get a haircut. For Mace, I would get him a full-on makeover. I'm just fucking you. And for Andy, a heart.
I'm the only one here for the heart.
Anyways,
they're all heartless, cold-blooded.
if you guys want to see something,
I'm sort of not.
If you guys want to
Except
see something
yeah.
funny, head over to Twitter. I'm at the Pangburn if you're not following me, but I just put out a tweet that says science convoy is greater than trucker convoy. It looks like that one's heating up, so check out the comments under that tweet. It's kind of funny. I don't do the Twitter thing very often, but I thought I'd throw a couple jabs out there.
When's Destiny the prostitute getting here?
The prostitute, Jesus Christ. Is he a
thought you-
prostitute? I didn't know.
I thought he was
No,
on
Friday, next Friday, the 18th, Destiny will be joining me at 5 p.m. Pacific time. He'll be coming into our Discord for a Q&A.
I thought that was today.
No, pay attention, Mace. Try to keep up. I know things work fast around here. But the 18th next week, Destiny will be coming in, and yeah, a lot more exciting guests are getting stacked up here. So stay tuned, everyone. Thank you so much for engaging in the chat. Iron Charioter, thank you so much to Paul, Joshua, John Boy, everyone. Thank you so much. Again, we do this Tuesdays and Thursdays. Go and subscribe to the Pangburn Offensive channel. It's our second channel on YouTube. That one's actually monetized, so we obviously want to start doing the show over there until this channel gets remonetized, which hopefully will happen soon. But thank you to everyone. Thanks, Andy, Mace, and special guest Dal. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Joshua Smith has shouted something in the chat.
What got
It's in all
Mace
caps,
interested in
so-
discussing that topic?
No, don't read it like that.
Oh.
It's in all caps.
What got Mace interested in discussing that topic? The value of human life.
Yeah, there we go. That's how I read it as well. Yeah.
Okay, you can come and ask Mace that. We're going down to the tavern. Come and join us on Discord in the tavern. You guys have the link. We'll see you guys next time. And as always, let art and science inspire.